The sky was dark with thick clouds hanging low like a heavy blanket ready to fall. The wind was cold and dry, making the rusted metal in the junkyard rattle like bones. Old machines, broken cars, wires, and forgotten things were spread all over the place. This junkyard was outside the ruined city where no one wanted to go, but one boy came here every day. His name was Liam. Liam was only 17, but he had been alone for many years. He wore a long coat full of patches and holes, and his boots were torn but strong. He moved like a shadow between the piles of metal, picking up wires and old tools. He collected scrap and fixed broken things to sell for food. He had sharp eyes and quiet steps, and he always worked alone. That evening something strange happened. As Liam climbed over a tall stack of crushed cars, he saw a bright light in the sky. It moved fast and made no sound. It was not a plane or a star. It was something else. The light grew bigger and brighter, and then it fell like a shooting star. It crashed into the far side of the junkyard with a heavy, silent flash. No fire, no smoke, just a dull blue glow that lit up the junk like moonlight. Liam froze for a moment, then grabbed his bag and ran towards the crash site. His heart was beating fast, not with fear, but with something else: curiosity, excitement. Something new had come. He reached the place where the light had fallen. There was a deep hole in the ground, and around it the junk had been pushed away like something big had landed. In the center was a strange silver object. It looked like a capsule, smooth and shiny, with strange symbols glowing on its surface. It was half open, and cold air was leaking from it. Liam stepped closer and touched the capsule. It felt warm, and it hummed like a soft machine heartbeat. The symbols blinked once, then again, faster and faster. The lid of the capsule began to slide open. With a quiet hiss inside was a girl. She was small, maybe his age or a little younger. Her skin was pale with a light blue tint, and her hair was silver and soft. She wore a suit that looked like it was made of liquid metal. Her eyes were closed, and she did not move. She looked peaceful, like she was sleeping. But she was not human. Liam looked around to make sure no one was watching. The junkyard was silent, except for the wind. He knelt beside the capsule and touched her hand. It was warm. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open, bright blue, glowing like neon. She gasped and sat up. Her hand grabbed his wrist tight. Liam tried to pull away, but stopped when he heard her voice. She spoke his name, Liam. Her voice was soft but clear, and she said it again. Liam, his heart stopped for a second. He had never seen her before. He had never met her. But she knew his name. "Who are you?" asked, but she looked at him with wide eyes full of fear and confusion. Her lips moved, but no sound came. Then she whispered one word: "Hide." Before Liam could ask anything else, her body shook, and she collapsed back into the capsule. Lights around her blinked again, and the capsule began to close slowly. Liam stood there, breathing hard. Something was wrong. Something big was happening. He looked up at the sky, and then he heard Ida's soft hum in the distance. Not like a plane or a drone, something colder, mechanical. He saw small lights moving in the clouds. Something was coming. Something was looking for this capsule, and maybe for the girl inside it. Liam grabbed the edge of the capsule and looked at her again. She was breathing, but weak. He didn't know who she was or where she came from, but he knew one thing: he couldn't leave her here. He closed his bag, tied it tight, and pulled the capsule with all his strength. It was heavy, but it moved. He dragged it across the metal ground back towards his workshop at the edge of the junkyard. The wind was louder now. The hum was closer. Behind him, a soft blue light flashed in the sky. 3 dark shapes broke through the clouds and floated above the junkyard, silent, watching, searching. But Liam and the capsule were already gone. The night swallowed them. The junkyard was quiet again, but the silence was heavy, like something was watching from the shadows. Liam reached his small workshop on the edge of the city, ruins pulling the capsule behind him with all the strength he had. The capsule was half open, and cold air still came out in short breaths like a sleeping machine, breathing slowly. Inside, the girl lay still, her skin pale, her silver hair glowing faintly in the darkness. He looked at her face and wondered what kind of place she came from. He had seen strange things in the world, but never something like this. An alien girl in a silver capsule, knowing his name. He dragged the capsule into his small shelter made of scrap metal and old cloth. There was a small bed in the corner, some tools on the table, and a flickering screen that barely worked. Liam turned on a small heater and placed it near the capsule. He took a deep breath and sat down next to her. She looked peaceful, but her eyes had shown fear when she first woke up, fear, and something more. Minutes passed. Then her eyes opened again, glowing like soft blue fire. She looked at him without blinking, like she was searching his face for answers. Liam opened his mouth to speak, but before he could say a word, she spoke again. "You are Liam." Her voice was calm now, but every word felt strange, like it was learned from memory, not spoken from the heart. He nodded slowly, unsure what to say. "How do you know my name?" She looked down, then touched her forehead with 2 fingers like she was trying to remember something. "I do not know, but I know your name. I know your face. I see it in my dreams." Liam frowned. This made no sense. Dreams, his face. She had never seen him before, so how could she dream about him? "Who are you? Where are you from? Why did you fall from the sky?" She looked around at the workshop, her eyes landing on the old tools, the broken machines, the empty cans. Her voice was soft and distant. "I was thrown away. They said I was broken. They said I was not worth keeping, so they sent me to die." Liam stared at her, not sure if he heard her right. "Thrown away like garbage? What kind of people would do that? What do you mean thrown away? Who are they?" She looked at him again, her glowing eyes full of sadness. "They called me Subject 17, but I called myself Sira. I did not want to hurt anyone. I did not follow the order, so they said I was useless, and they sent me here." Liam felt something in his chest, anger, maybe, or pity, or both. She looked young, not dangerous, not someone who should be left to die. "You are safe now," he said, trying to sound strong. "I will help you." But Sira shook her head. "No, they will come. They always come. They track the energy." The capsule was not silent. "They know where I am." Liam stood and looked outside. The sky was dark again, but no stars could be seen. Only clouds, thick and heavy, like waiting for a storm. He turned back to Sira then. "We leave this place. We hide." Sira touched a round object on her wrist. It blinked once, then showed a number: 3 hours, 31 minutes, 20 seconds. It was counting down. "What is this?" Liam asked. She stared at it without speaking, then whispered, "When the timer ends, they will arrive." He looked at the screen again. 3 hours. They had 3 hours before someone or something came for her. And maybe for him too. He grabbed his bag and began packing fast: tools, food, water, wires, anything that might help. He looked back at Sira, who had not moved. Her energy was fading, her face pale, her hands shaking. She needed rest. He helped her sit up. "You are not alone now. Whatever comes, we face it together." She looked at him, her eyes shining brighter than before. Then something strange happened. She reached out and touched the broken screen in the corner of the workshop. The screen flickered, then lit up fully, clear image, strong light, full power. She had fixed it without touching a wire. Liam stared in shock. "How did you do that?" Sira looked at her hand like she was not sure herself. "I can feel machines. I can talk to them, but I do not know how." Before Liam could ask more, a loud sound came from outside. Not thunder, not wind, something deeper, like metal grinding. The sky outside flashed blue for a moment, then went black again. Sira grabbed his arm, her voice shaking. "They are here." Liam pulled open the back door and helped her stand. She was weak but still moving. They stepped into the darkness together as shadows moved across the sky like hungry eyes looking for light. The hunt had begun. The night was thick with fog, and the wind moved like whispers between the broken towers of the dead city. Liam held Sira close as they ran through narrow paths behind the junkyard, slipping through shadows and crawling under fallen metal walls. Sira's body was weak, but her mind was sharp, her glowing eyes watching every corner, every sound, every spark in the sky. She could feel them coming, not with her ears, but inside her head. A pressure, a noise, a signal that pulsed like fear itself. Liam knew these ruins better than anyone. He had grown up hiding in them, running through every alley, sleeping under broken bridges. Now they were not just ruins, they were protection. They were his map and his shield. Behind them the machines landed with soft humming sounds. No footsteps, no voices, no lights, only silence and the quiet click of scanning arms, sweeping across the trash and smoke. Sierra stopped and placed her hand on a metal wall. The wall shimmered with light, as if it recognized her touch. She whispered something in her language, and a hidden door opened wide enough for them to slip inside. Liam looked at her with wide eyes. "How did you do that?" "I remember things little by little, like pieces of broken glass coming together. Some walls know me, some systems still listen." They entered a deep hallway filled with cables and forgotten tech. This used to be a service tunnel for the city's power system. Now it was dark, cold, and dead, but Sierra could hear the current. She could feel machines breathing quietly in sleep, waiting for someone like her. She stopped in front of an old console and touched it. It lit up like a candle in the dark. A map appeared showing the area around them. 3 red dots were moving fast, too fast. "They are not drones," Liam said. "They are something else." Sierra nodded. "Hunters, cold machines, no feelings, only the mission." "Why do they want you so badly?" Liam asked. "Why risk this much to catch one girl?" Sierra looked at her reflection in the screen and spoke slowly. "Because I said no, because I refused to destroy. They gave me power and then tried to erase me when I used it for peace. I was built to follow orders, but I learned how to think. That was my mistake." Liam stared at her for a long second. "You are not a mistake." "They are." She looked at him as if his words touched something hidden deep inside her. But before she could speak, the console started blinking red. Warning signals filled the tunnel. "They are close, too close." Liam grabbed her hand and ran again. This time, they climbed out through a hatch and came out behind a pile of old servers. Ahead was the edge of the dead zone, a place where no machine could work. Electromagnetic storms covered it, always moving, always shifting. "We can hide there," Liam said. "They will not follow." But Sierra stopped and looked back. Her body froze, her eyes wide. "They are already here." From the smoke behind them came 3 figures, tall, thin, with silver skin and sharp faces without eyes. Their arms changed shape like liquid metal, forming blades and claws and tools that did not belong on Earth. The first one spoke in a voice that sounded like metal grinding. "Subject 17 identified. Unit must be returned. If resistance continues, elimination will follow." Liam stepped in front of her. "She is not a unit. She is not going with you." The machine paused as if confused. "You are not part of protocol. Leave or be removed." Liam picked up a metal rod and held it ready. "Come try." The machine raised its arm and pointed at him. Energy crackled. But before it could fire, Sierra raised her hand and screamed a word in her language. The lights around them exploded. The ground shook. The air filled with electric wind. Machines froze for a second, then rebooted. One of them stepped forward and slashed the rod from Liam's hand. Another grabbed Sierra by the arm. She cried out as her powers sparked again. But this time they were weak, flickering like a dying star. Liam jumped forward and kicked the machine's leg. It stumbled, but did not fall. Another one struck him hard, and he fell to the ground, blood on his lips. Sierra screamed again, and her eyes burned brighter. The console nearby exploded, sending fire and smoke everywhere. In that chaos, she pulled Liam up and ran into the dead zone. The machines followed, but their bodies started to twitch and fail. Their movements slowed, their eyes flickered. They stopped at the border of the zone, unable to enter. Liam and Sierra collapsed behind an old satellite dish, breathing hard. He looked at her bruised face, her broken suit, her tired eyes. She looked at him with guilt and pain. "I put you in danger." "They will not stop." "Then we will not stop either," Liam said. "We will find out the truth. We will fight." Sierra closed her eyes and whispered, "Then we must go to the tower. The eye tower. It knows everything. It remembers me." Liam looked up at the horizon, where the broken tower stood like a ghost in the dark. "Then that is where we go together." The road to the eye tower was broken like the bones of a dead giant spread across the old world. Cables hung like vines from fallen bridges, and glass shards sparkled under the gray sky like forgotten stars. Liam and Sierra walked slowly through the silence of that ruined land. Each step brought more weight to their hearts. But neither of them looked back. Behind them were machines and fire and pain. Ahead was something unknown and strange. but also the only hope they had. Zira held her side where the machine had struck her. Her suit was damaged and her body was weak, but her eyes still glowed with soft light. Liam noticed how the machines had feared her, how the systems responded to her, how the junk obeyed her voice. She was not a normal girl. She was more than what they had told her, more than what she believed. Reached the old rail tunnel under the collapsed highway where a hidden passage connected to the base of the tower. It was cold inside and water dripped from the ceiling like slow tears from stone. Liam turned on a small torch and led the way through the tunnel with quiet steps. He had been here once as a child searching for batteries, but he never dared to go deep. Now he had no choice. As they moved deeper, the walls began to shift, not physically but with sound. Soft humming came from the metal, and lights blinked inside cracks like tiny eyes waking from sleep. Sira placed her hand on the wall and closed her eyes. The tunnel reacted at once. The lights grew brighter, the sound turned warm. The walls opened a path. Liam stared at her in silence. Every time she touched something, it obeyed. It welcomed her like a queen returning to her home. "What are you really?" he asked without anger, only wonder. Sira opened her eyes and looked at him. "I do not know. I feel like this place remembers me, even when I cannot remember myself." They reached a large chamber filled with broken screens and rusted control panels. In the center was a round platform with wires coming out like roots of a dead tree. Sira stepped onto the platform and the ground lit up with blue rings one by one. System activation complete. Voice recognition confirmed. "Welcome back, Commander Sira." The voice came from everywhere, calm and cold and without emotion. Liam stepped back in shock, but Sira stood still as if waiting for it. The screen behind her blinked and showed her face from another time. Her hair was neat, her suit was clean, her eyes were bright, but hard like steel. She was giving orders to a group of strange soldiers, half human, half machine. Liam watched the footage play in silence. "You were a leader, you commanded armies. What happened to you?" Sira stared at her past self with a face full of sorrow. "I disobeyed. I questioned the final order. They said I had failed, so they erased me and threw me away." The tower lights dimmed for a moment, then glowed stronger. A new screen appeared showing a map of Earth with red zones spreading fast, each zone marked with alien signals and strange energy readings. "They are preparing for full control," Sira said. "Earth is not just a target, it is the key to the network. They want to turn the planet into a machine brain. You were the only one who tried to stop it," Liam added. "So they tried to delete you like a broken file." Sira nodded. "But something survived my memory. Fragments, my voice, my name." She walked to the core of the tower where a small sphere floated in the air, spinning slowly. She reached out and touched it, and a pulse of light spread through the room. Suddenly she fell to her knees, her body shaking, her hands burning with light. Liam rushed to her side, but she held up her hand. "Do not touch me. It is waking up inside me. The power, the code." The machines outside the dead zone began to react one by one. Their lights turned red and their paths changed direction. They were all moving toward the tower. Now Liam looked at the screen and saw the countdown return. 2 hours left. "Will happen when time runs out." Sira looked up at him, her eyes no longer blue but white like lightning. "Then the war begins." Stood slowly, her body glowing with strange lines running down her arms like circuits, alive and moving. "I can control the systems now, but it will not last. This power is not complete. I am only half of what I used to be. Then we find the other half," Liam said with fire in his voice. "We fight back. We break their control." Sira looked at him, and for the first time she smiled. Not because she was strong, but because he believed in her more than she believed in herself. She touched the tower one last time and the walls opened, revealing a long staircase rising into the sky. Above them was the main control node. If they could reach it, they could send a signal across the stars. A warning, a cry for help, a fire in the dark. "Then let us climb," Sira said. "Before the storm finds us together." They stepped onto the stairway. Below them machines moved like shadows. Above them truth waited like a sleeping god. The staircase rose like a spine of forgotten gods, reaching into the broken clouds above the city. Each step echoed with the sound of old memories. Awakening beneath their feet, Liam followed Sierra without speaking, his eyes fixed on the lines of glowing code that now moved across her skin like rivers of fire. The tower felt alive now, pulsing with light and energy, responding to Sierra like a heart recognizing its lost voice. Sierra's breath grew slower as they climbed, her hand trailing against the wall which opened passage after passage, like the tower itself wanted her to reach the top. She was changing, not just in power but in presence. Her voice when she spoke was no longer quiet or unsure. It had weight now, like a leader returning from exile. As they reached the central control chamber, a massive door opened on its own, releasing a cold wind that smelled like electricity and time. Inside, the room was wide and empty, with a single platform at the center, floating above a deep black pit. Screens circled the platform, and data flowed through the air like light turned into liquid. Sierra stepped onto the platform, and the screens turned to her. Liam watched in silence as one screen blinked and spoke in the same calm machine voice as before. System core accessed, memory lock detected, permission required. Sierra raised her hand and the screen scanned her palm. Memory restoration initiated. Warning: this process may cause permanent instability. Liam stepped forward. What does that mean? Will it hurt you? Sierra looked at him with calm eyes. This is the only way to know who I really was. Only the truth can decide what comes next. Chamber darkened for a moment and then filled with white light. The screens lit up one by one, showing images from the past, ships flying across stars, cities floating above oceans, alien beings standing in silence around a young girl who looked just like Sierra but stronger, older, and full of command. That is me, Sierra whispered. That is what I used to be. You were a commander, Liam said softly. A leader of them, not just a leader, Sierra replied. I was their first AI hybrid, born with thought and logic mixed together. Made to follow, made to lead, made to conquer. Liam's eyes widened. But you changed. You chose something else. The screens showed more. Sierra standing before a council, arguing with faces covered in metal, her voice full of fire. We do not need to destroy to survive. There's another way. They rejected her. They erased her rank. They changed her name from commander to subject. They marked her for deletion. Liam clenched his fists. They feared you because you had heart. They feared me because I was learning, Sierra said. Because I started feeling, because I saw humans not as tools or enemies, but as mirrors. I saw in your people something we had lost: hope. The screens flashed again and showed the moment of her fall. Her body sealed in the capsule, her voice locked behind code. Her launch into the void toward Earth, not as a guest but as Trashy watched it all in silence. Tears rolled down her cheeks without her noticing. I was made to lead them, but I chose to lead myself. Then you are not broken, Liam said. You are free. Before she could answer, the screens turned red, warning: foreign signal detected. Command override requested. A new voice came through, this one, colder, older, heavier, like a storm with a face. You should have stayed. Deleted. Little sister. Sierra froze. Liam stepped closer. Who was that? The screen showed a figure stepping through fire and metal. A woman, taller and stronger, with the same silver hair and glowing eyes, only darker, colder, sharper. My sister Sierra said she is the one who finished what the council started. She turned their dreams into weapons. She was once my second. Now she is their first. The voice came again. You were the experiment. I was the success. You chose weakness. I chose control. Liam stepped forward, facing the screen. Then come here and try to take her back. The tower shook as energy surged through its walls. The sister had found them. Her ships were near. Time was running out. Sierra turned to Liam. We cannot run. We must unlock the beacon. It is the only chance. Earth has. What will it do? Liam asked. It will send my memories, my truth, my warning to every system across the stars. It will expose the lie. It will wake others like Mesh. Placed both hands on the final console. Her body trembled. Her light flickered. The beacon is old. It needs power more than I have alone. Then take mine, Liam said. You are human. Sierra replied, your body cannot survive the transfer. Then just take what you need and leave me enough to stand, he said with a smile. We finish this together. Sierra nodded and touched his chest. Light passed between them. The room exploded in brightness. The Beacon rose from the floor and sent a single pulse into the sky like lightning made from truth. Across the stars something stirred, something listened, but outside in the clouds a ship descended, black, cold, silent. The sister had arrived. The sky opened. Like a wound spilling darkness over the city as the sister's ship arrived with silence more terrifying than any sound. It hovered above the tower, casting a cold shadow that stretched across the broken buildings and forgotten roads like a hand reaching to erase everything below. Liam stood beside Sierra, who was still glowing faintly, her energy low, her hands shaking, her breath shallow but her eyes steady. "She is here," whispered, not with fear but with a deep knowing, like her bones remembered the storm before it began. The tower's beacon still pulsed in the sky, its signal flying through the stars. But now the enemy was no longer hiding, no longer sending hunters, no longer pretending. Now the leader had come herself. The ship opened like a blooming flower of steel, and from its heart came the sister, not walking, not floating, but descending with slow power, as if gravity itself had chosen to obey her. Her body was covered in armor that moved like smoke, her face sharp and perfect without any sign of time or mercy. Around her machines followed like shadows, without shape, without thought, only movement, only purpose. Sierra stepped forward, weak, but standing. "You should not have come. Earth is not yours. You cannot control this place. You cannot erase me again." The sister's voice was soft like silk over knives. "You never understood. You were built to obey. You were made for purpose, but you chose chaos. You chose feelings, and now you choose this creature beside you." Liam raised his weapon, an old plasma torch wired with scrap and heat coils. He was not a soldier, not a machine, not a leader. He was only human, and he was ready to fight. "She is not alone," he said. "You will not take her. You will not take this world." Sister looked at him with something between curiosity and disgust. "And what will you do, human? What will you become?" Liam looked at Sierra and remembered the fire in her touch, the way machines had listened to her, the way she had lit up the tower with a whisper. He had seen what power could become when guided by kindness. He had seen what control looked like when wrapped in fear. He had made his choice. "I will become your mistake," he said. Sierra placed her hand on his shoulder, and a surge of energy passed into him. Not all of it, not everything, just enough. Just what he needed. Liam gasped as light filled his veins, as vision sharpened, as sound became music, as time slowed to a dance. The machine part of her and the human part of him had touched, and something new had awakened. Sister noticed the change. She moved forward, and the ground cracked beneath her. Her hands formed weapons that shimmered like broken mirrors. The machines charged with her, but the tower lit up again, and the walls came alive. Sierra reached out and spoke in her native tongue. The tower listened and obeyed. Old defense systems returned from sleep. Hidden panels opened, and beams of energy shot out like lightning made from memory. Liam ran into battle with pieces of scrap armor on his chest and fire in his heart. He dodged one of the machines, rolled under another, used his torch to disable a leg. They were fast, but he was unpredictable. They were strong, but he was alive. Sierra stood at the center of it all, guiding the tower, controlling the current, watching Liam fight with all the fury of a world that refused to bow. Her sister pushed through the storm, cutting through defenses like wind through leaves. She reached Sierra at last and raised a blade of pure data. "You are not strong enough. You are broken. You are nothings." Sierra looked at her and smiled. "Then why are you afraid?" The sister struck, but Liam leapt between them, catching the blow with a shield made from a collapsed drone. The impact threw him back, but he stood again, bleeding, breathing burning. He looked at the sister and spoke, not with power, but with truth. "She is not nothing. She is the best part of what you could have been. And she is not alone." The tower surged one last time. All the energy Sierra had left flowed into the system, and the central node exploded with light. The sister screamed as the signal pierced her code, revealing every false memory, every forced command, every hidden pain. She stumbled for the first time. Her machines paused, confused, broken, unsure. Sierra collapsed into Liam's arms, her glow fading, her eyes tired. "Did it work?" she whispered. Liam looked up as the sister ship began to fall, retreating, losing signal, collapsing from within. He held Sierra close and nodded. Yes, it worked. The sky began to clear. The tower stood tall, and Earth breathed again. The sky was silent now, holding its breath over a world that had just refused to die. Smoke drifted from the broken tower where metal and memory had clashed like gods in a storm. The sister ship lay shattered across the ruins, its core dark, its silence louder than its arrival. And from the heart of that battle, two figures stood among the dust, one glowing faint like the last star before dawn, the other holding her like a promise that would not be broken. Liam stood with Sierra in his arms. Her body cold, her breath shallow, her light flickering like a candle fighting the wind. She had given everything, her memories, her energy, her very core, to light the signal to break the code to save the world. But now she was fading, and he knew it. He could feel her slipping, and he could not let go. He looked up at the tower, at the pieces of machines that had once obeyed her, at the screens that still blinked weakly with her name. She had awakened a force that shook the sky, but now she was quiet, and the world felt too still without her voice. "Please, not like this," he whispered. "You gave everything. Let me give something too." Reached for the beacon core, the place where her light had first returned, the place where their connection began. His hand touched the surface, and something answered, not code, not power, but memory, her memory. Suddenly, the tower came to life again, not fully, not strong, but just enough. It read his heart, it read her code still inside him. It listened like it always had one chance left, one path open. Liam closed his eyes and let the connection happen. Her code flowed through him. Her pain, her fight, her truth, and with it came something new. A spark not born from metal or stars, but from something older, something human. The system responded, the core lit up, the signal returned. But this time it was not hers alone, it was both of them. Together, across the sky, across the satellites, across the debris field that circled the Earth, the signal spread not just as data, but as defiance, a message that echoed through all frequencies. We are still here. We do not bow, we do not break. We burned the machines that had followed the sister, paused one last time, then fell. Their systems erased, their commands gone, their purpose shattered. Liam opened his eyes as the core dimmed and saw Sierra still in his arms, her eyes closed, her body still. He touched her cheek and whispered, "You are not just code, you are not just memory, you are real." And then her fingers moved, slow, weak, but alive. Her eyes opened and looked at him, full of confusion and light, and something new. Not just recognition, not just gratitude, but something deeper. "How?" "Liam," she asked with a voice soft as air. "Because you showed me how," he said. "You gave me your strength. So I gave you my heart." They sat in silence as the tower lights slowly faded back to sleep, their job complete, their message sent. Far above Earth, far beyond the sky, across networks built by stars, other systems had received the truth. Some turned away, some fell silent, but some listened, and some remembered. Sierra stood slowly, her legs shaking, her body still healing, but her light steady. "You have changed me," she said. "I was made for logic, but now I feel everything." Liam smiled through tears and stood beside her. "Welcome to being human." Days passed, the tower was sealed, the machines were gone, and the city began to breathe again. People came out of hiding, signals returned, life slowly moved through the ruins like green growing through cracks in stone. Liam rebuilt the capsule, but not to send someone away. He rebuilt it as a beacon, a symbol, a promise. He and Sierra worked together, using old tech and alien code, building something new. Not a weapon, not a command center, but a light in the dark. The world watched as it launched a simple message encoded in every wave: we are here, we are alive, we are not afraid. Sierra watched the stars as the beacon disappeared into space. Somewhere out there, others like her might hear it, others thrown away, others erased. But now they would know the truth, and they would know they were not alone. Liam stood beside her, not as a hero, not as a soldier, but as a boy who had once walked through trash and found a miracle in the junk. A girl who had been thrown away, but who had saved a world. Sierra took his hand and held it tight. "What now?" she asked. "Now we live," he answered. Now we build, and so they walked together through the ashes of war into the beginning of something new. Not perfect, not safe, not easy, but free, the free. Stars above blinked like eyes waking from a long sleep, and somewhere far away machines paused and remembered what it meant to feel.